Hey, Richard here again. Been a few days. I wanted to firstly give a plug to my blog. Always do. Facts for Working People. We know what's up.blogspot.com is the URL. And I wanted to talk about the question of socialism a little bit and how we raise it. And I remember years and years ago, about 25, 30 years, 40 years ago, 35 years ago, I was active in my workplace, in my union, as a rank and file activist in my union, and then we had a left group in the workplace that were worthless actually. But I remember having a pint with a couple of them afterwards, and they said, "Well, you got to fight for socialism. Capitalism can't be reformed. You got to fight for socialism." I said, "Okay, I sort of agree with that," but they were completely worthless on the job. I mean, just going up to a worker and saying you got to fight for socialism, well, it's meaningless. And I thought about because I always used to say if you're in the toilet, and they used to talk about reformism, and if you don't lie to the working class, don't con them to thinking capitalism can be reformed by fighting for reforms and so forth. And the thing is I always used to say, well, when you're in the bathroom and there's no toilet paper, the shop steward getting toilet paper put in there regularly is a fairly useful thing. And the thing is, for me, it was that I knew and I understood from myself before I came to the conclusion that capitalism cannot be reformed, it cannot be made nice. We have to, I would say, overthrow it, and we have to replace it with a democratic socialist system of production, not just nationally, but globally. We have to do that. Of course, you just don't go around the workplace talking about that. It's just meaningless when somebody's worried about that overtime, or they couldn't get this day off, or they couldn't get that day off. So I do know from myself that at first I did belong to a revolutionary organization at one point in time. I think they are pretty much worthless today, to be honest with you, and do not feel that they will play a major role in the upcoming struggles against capital in this country. Hopefully the movement of the working class will help save many of them. And there's lots of decent people in them, dedicated people in them, and many more that are out of them. As Sean used to say, there's more socialists outside the socialist organizations than there are in them. But I do know that the struggle for reform, because this is for reforms, the fight for the immediate, helps us draw the conclusion, or leads us to draw the conclusion, that we can't reform it, we can't make it nice, we can't get that. We have to change something significantly. Like if you try, I remember using an example of the struggle for a skateboard park in a town that we were involved in, some of us were involved in. And through the struggle for something like that, you come up against the state and its apparatus and its forces, against the police, against the courts, against the politicians and so forth, and you draw the conclusion that I've got to go beyond this, I have to change something in society. And I raise that because I raised criticism about Mamdani in New York. Mamdani is refreshing. He's lovely to watch in a sense. He's personable. He's smart. But he's going to fail. He's going to fail because he doesn't really believe. He believes in capitalism. He doesn't believe we have to get rid of it. We have to change it. We have to overthrow it. I wouldn't phrase it that way, and I'll touch on that in a minute. He met with the real estate barons and other parasites that run the city. He met behind closed doors, which was a mistake. Yes, you can meet with him. He should have met with him in the communities where he has his power. Told them to come in and you argue your position, I'll argue mine. He didn't. He met with them in private. Well, they told him there, here's what we want. For his mild reforms, don't make us pay, make the workers pay in some way or another. So the question is, I don't want to pop people's bubbles, but it's quite clear. Look at AOC, look at Sanders, look at them all. We've heard them all before. They come up against the state, against its apparatus, against every aspect of its oppression, and they end up, some just walk away, others just, you've got to do the best we can, we'll try and get this. Now, when I spoke to that young woman at the march the other week for No Kings, a stupid name I know, but the No Kings thing, I don't know how young she was. She was a teacher, but she was really young and very, very sharp. And at one point in the discussion, when we talked, my friend Jack, who's a retired teacher, and she was a teacher, so it was good that they hooked up a little bit in there. She said, we talked about how can you change things? Do we keep coming out and marching? Do we keep just protesting until the next protest? Nothing changes. And we both said that you have to have a mass movement. Only a mass movement can force this immense power. They have a lot of power, the ruling class. But we have more power if it's organized, if it's united, and so forth. And she agreed with that. And at one point she said, yes, definitely, we have to restructure society. There you have it. It's not leftist jargon. It's not the usual way we phrase it, but we have to restructure society. She's absolutely correct. And in my view, in the coming struggles against capital, because their backs are against the wall, 42 million people on SNAP. The question shouldn't be why aren't they paying them, was why are they on it? What's the sort of a society is that? And so what struck me in the coming period, there will be thousands upon thousands, millions of young people who will have that position. We need to structure society. Things are not going to change. That's my view, and that's why I can be optimistic. And they will drag so many of us into that. Well, I'll probably be too old, but they will drag organized labor. They will drag the movement. Will drag all of the people that have given up. It will begin the formation of a genuinely working class, powerful movement against capitalism, and for a restructuring of society. And the alternative and socialist ideas will be to the fore for a democratic global federation of socialist states, democratic socialist states. That's the answer. Anyway, those are my thoughts today. Been missing for a little while. Take care.